she lives for Strictly. And what I've realised with the dancers, from being little, they are hardwired to dance. It's what makes them happy. And the biggest blow to her, and the big thing when she was talking to me about, I don't know if I'll have the chemo or not, is she said, because if I go that route, I won't be able to do Strictly this year. And I had to look her in the eye and say, Amy, you've got cancer. They've literally just cut your boob off. And they are telling you, you need to have this chemo to get better. Don't worry about dancing on Strictly. Well, but if I don't dance this year, they might not want me back next year. I don't know. And I said, Amy, you are amazing at what you do. Of course they will want you back. This is just a blip. It's a tiny amount of time in the grand scheme of everything going on. And you are so well loved. Please, it's really important. Get well. Don't see this series about anything else. And so I think I just gave her that confidence to realise, because you know what women are like as well, especially we all self-doubt, and you know, she's thinking, oh, maybe if they have a year without me, they won't want me to cut. I said, Amy, they're never going to feel that way. You are so incredible. You're an incredible teacher. You're an incredible dancer. You're such a personality on the show. And she needed to hear that from me at that time. And so I said to her, you need to talk to them about how can you be part of the show without being part of the show? Because if that's what's going to make you feel like you can get through this and you haven't been cut out. That's what. So I coached her in how to go and have them conversations. And as soon as the producers understood why, because they were trying to be nice and go, don't you worry about work, you take all the time you need to get ready and you take the year off. And that's not what she needed to hear.
So how was it having Gary Neville in the den?
So I didn't know much about Gary. I'm embarrassed to admit this, right? But so I knew he was a football pundit, and I've obviously heard of Gary Neville. But I don't know what he looks like. I've never met him in my life, and I don't watch.
So you wouldn't have recognised him if you walked past him?
Well, so I'm sitting in hair and makeup.
Oh.
So obviously I'm in hair and makeup from 7. The lads don't rock up until 9 o'clock, because it takes me and Deborah a little bit longer than it takes them, right? And there was this bloke in the corner in hair and makeup, and I'm going, and Claire, my makeup artist, going, what guy? There's only Gary Neville here. And I went, oh, that's Gary Neville. And she just couldn't compute that I wouldn't know who Gary Neville was. And actually, he's just normal, because, so he was in that morning, he watched us all day just to understand what happens. He then went to dinner with us on the night, which meant by the time you got into the den the next morning, he knew what was going on because he'd watched it, but then also he'd built the relationship with us over dinner. So that next day, I had a vested interest in wanting Gary to do well, because he was now my mate. I'd hung out with him all night, and I loved him. We got on so well. He's a dad. His kids are not overly dissimilar ages to my kids. We had that in common. We talked. He was so nervous. He wasn't nervous about the TV. He was nervous about the business deal side, and so I was giving him advice, and all of a sudden, you know, a lot of men, because there's so much ego, they don't want to admit that they're nervous. I mean, there was no ego with him. He sat down and he said, Sarah, I'm just so nervous about this, and I don't know, you know, and I've done extra training with the BBC and they've been great, but I don't, and I was like, right, let me give you my top. So this is how I do it. When I have my book, I always write this on the right hand side, and then I put my questions down here, then ask someone else, I do this, Gary, and this helps me think about it this way. And he was so grateful for all the advice, and it just meant that him and I got on unbelievably well. And I just think that was not what I was expecting at all.
Do you think you'll stay in touch?
Oh, yeah, I text him, like, not overly, not regularly. So we've got on absolutely brilliantly. I mean, I think I was probably the only person who didn't know who Gary Neville was. Everyone walking through the lift doors knew exactly who Gary Neville was.